I thought I'd catch you up on a few things. First of all, the new YouTube channel, Cycling Adventures for Seniors, is up and it's running. My first video was up there, which is more of an introductory video, like who am I and why am I doing this in my kitchen, that sort of thing. Oh, and before I go any further, I want to tell you about this crazy dream I had last night. I'm one of those people that I rarely remember my dreams, but when they stick out like this one did, when they're really odd, I remember them. I was a kid, and there were 4 or 5 of us. We were on a beach, and we liked to watch the planes come in because the planes would come in over the ocean and then land at the airport on the side of the beach, right? So we're standing there, there's a plane coming. It's a big jet, like a 747, but he was coming in backwards. Like he had it in reverse, which I think on a 747 is you push down, that is to the left and the down, or is that a 727? You pilots can correct me on that. Anyways, he's coming in backwards, but he's coming in too steep. And the plane just literally crashed in the ocean, and we went running off to our parents. They were over at the picnic tables. The plane crashed. And then I woke up. It left me in a giddy mood today, and it's going to get worse. Let me warn you, it's going to get worse. Anyways, my new YouTube channel, Cycling Adventures for Seniors, is up. The first video was up there. It's just a little local ride, just to kind of introduce the channel, introduce me. The next one, we go out to Schofield Park, a friend and I, to grill a steak out there. And that's a nicer video because beautiful scenery out at Schofield Park. It's near Santa Barbara. That'll go up probably on Saturday. I haven't quite settled on the thumbnail graphic yet to display it. And then there are some more local rides that I want to do. But I got to looking on YouTube and Amazon for some little like camp stoves. What would be a little stove that I could use to maybe, for example, go to a beach, or I could have a little fire in a camp stove. There's no brush around, so you don't have to worry about setting anything on fire. And I saw this video of this guy, speaking of planes coming in backwards, I hope he's coming in forward. That's a 727 going over. Landing at the local airport, which is near the beach. I saw this guy with a little camp stove, and he was cooking with a homemade paper mache briquette and trying to see how well it would work. And he had a little camp stove set up. He was getting his fire started. He put a little, I'm not going to get through this, a little frying pan on top, and he was slicing and frying Spam. I really am trying Spam. And I thought, okay, well, that's not going to end up on Mobile Home Gourmet, my other YouTube channel. A fried Spam sandwich. But anyways, I was fascinated by these briquettes that some people call briquettes. Like if they're British or Indian, they call them briquettes. I got fascinated by these briquettes because the more I explored homemade paper mache briquettes, I'll tell you, it's a religion out there. I mean, don't get me started. This one guy was obviously a welder. Big 6 foot, 8 foot tall metal contraption that he had built with a turn crank over here and a turn crank over here and a thing for lifting the briquettes up and down and this turn thing up top that would turn around to compress the things. And I sat there and I thought, how much did he spend on steel and paint? Because he had it painted all different colors. And how much did he spend on electricity for his arc welder? And how much is he saving on fuel by making briquettes? He's going to have to make briquettes for the rest of his life to recover his costs. Anyways, there were all kinds of things. Some people would have this rig attached to the side of a building with their 1 or 2 cylinders that they would make their logs in, their compressed logs, plungers, and then up top was a hydraulic jack that they would use to jack down and compress the paper to get the water out. Preparing the paper, one guy said this is the part the kids like, and they would tear up the paper and the newspapers into bits to put into the water to get the paper mache started. Another guy had a couple of sticks, pieces of wood, that he had put a couple of razor blades in and then ran screws through, and he would slash the paper with that. I got to thinking, I've got a paper shredder back there in the office, and it literally reduces paper down to confetti. How difficult is that? As far as a ready source of paper, I live in a mobile home park. Our mailboxes are in a central location where the laundry room is, and every Tuesday we get a like a delivery of ads from local grocery stores and restaurants and so forth. So everyone gets a bundle of these papers stacked in their mailboxes. And what I told the manager when they put those boxes in, I said, you might want to talk to the recycling people and get a blue recycling bin and put it next to the mailboxes so that people, when they go through their mail, the junk mail, they can just put it in the recycling bin. You'll have less papers possibly floating around, littering the ground. So he did. He put a blue recycling bin out there. So like every Wednesday, Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, I can go over to that bin, and it's filled with papers. So I have a ready source of newspaper or ads, whatever you call it. They're printed on the same paper as newspapers. Okay. Then you shred them up, soak them in water for a day or two. And then what some people would do, it helps to mulch them a little bit. So what they would do is they would get like a long paint stirrer. It's got a disc at the bottom. It's a long rod that you put it in an electric drill, and you can put it down in a 5-gallon bucket of paint to stir the paint up. If you're going to be painting, they'd put a little like metal bracket at the bottom with a couple of screws to hold it in place. One guy filed his to sharpen 2 parts of it to make it like a lawnmower blade. And then they'd get in there and they'd pulp the paper. And I thought, well, I got one of these. This is an immersion blender. That'll work. And then they have these presses that I told you about. Some fanatical presses. I mean, it's a cult out there with, and I understand. Okay, so there are people who live in some parts of the world where this one guy says they could pay a quarter to half of their income just on fuel for cooking. So if fuel is really scarce there, it could be better for them if they could make briquettes or briquettes with the newspaper that they read every day. Where are they going to get paper out in the African bush? But they know what they're talking about, these people. Anyways, I understand. But I thought, as far as compressing it, well, I have one of these. This is a potato ricer. You can just put the mulch in there and squeeze the water out. I thought, I got to give this a try. I got to get, just to see what it's like. And it takes a while for them to dry, 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks. But if you're someone who, this is a steady like source of fuel for you, once a week you could make your briquettes and just kind of have groups of them drying and just kind of work through the cycle, and on a weekly basis make new briquettes as some are dry now and ready to use. I made some. Check them out. Here's my briquettes. I'll show you what they look like. They're kind of flat because I made mine. I don't need a big, I'm just experimenting. And they're still wet because I made these like 2 or 3 days ago. They have weeks to go before they're dry enough to use. I ordered a little camp stove that I can use in an area where maybe there's no danger of like setting a forest on fire. Like say at the beach, you know, where there's no shrubs around, no brush, and just do my little fire there, or at a campground where they have little grills set up. Maybe I could put my little camp stove on top of the grill and test it there with a little frying pan, maybe fry a piece of fish. They don't burn for very long. You maybe get 8-10 minutes out of a briquette, and you just kind of get in there with a stick and shake the ashes down, put another one in and get it started. If you got a bunch of them, I suppose you could cook for quite a while. I wouldn't try to cook a 2-inch steak with those things, and I don't think they would be good over an open like fire where you're cooking chicken over an open fire, because I guess they put up a lot of soot. One guy showed the back of his frying pan was all black with soot, but it rinsed off really easily. So you wouldn't want that soot on your food. But hey, I thought it might be fun to experiment. And then if I want to go on one of these cycling adventures for seniors, this little camp stove just folds down real flat. Take a few briquettes, a little aluminum frying pan, put that in my pack or in the bicycle basket, and then do a nice bike adventure off somewhere and stop and cook, have a little lunch, and come home. That might be fun to do. Speaking of cycling, though, one thing I want to do, I think what I'm going to do this afternoon, if the sun comes out, we're in a cloud pattern right now. We call it June gloom. There's a marine layer. It comes in off the ocean during the night, and it lingers during the morning. It's cloudy, overcast, and then maybe by the afternoon it'll burn off and we'll have blue sky. Yesterday it never burned off. It was cloudy all day. If it's sunny this afternoon, it's already coming up on noontime here. If it's sunny this afternoon, I'm thinking of taking a ride out to the university and doing a tour around the local university where I used to work. Just to show you what the university here looks like. It's a pretty area because the university is right on the beach. It's like half the campus border is ocean. It's beautiful, beautiful campus. So that'll be this afternoon, maybe. So that's the latest. As I always say, if you like what you're seeing or hearing, please subscribe, forward some of these links to others, tell others about it, and thanks for listening.